What are we gonna do today? So, today is another kind of no strict plan thing. I can show what I'm working on. I'm still kind of in the middle of stuff, so I don't have any cool features to release just yet. So, sadly, nothing super exciting. But so just Q&A or whatever. We could play some or whatever. Aw, you're welcome. Yeah, I always feel bummed when like it's been what like 4 weeks now or 3 or 4 weeks. I've been working on this like giant refactoring thing. It's funny how it goes sometimes with this stuff. It's like I start working on like, oh, I'm gonna move a little thing around and kind of update something for 1.8, and then like that turns into like, oh well, I'm in here, I should fix this, and then that turns into like, oh well, I'm in here, I should move this stuff around, and so basically now I'm just like I'm doing just this huge thing, which is actually a really big chunk of the 1.8 stuff that needs to be done, but it's kind of a major operation. So I keep feeling bad like when it's Tuesday and it's like, oh crap, I'm not gonna have I'm not gonna have this done yet for tomorrow, so can't show everyone or can't you know push a new update or anything just yet. Yeah, I'd like to if once once I get to the point in 1.8 where I'm adding new stuff, I think that would be fun to kind of show show stuff I'm working on. Um, or we could like test it. I mean, that would be another thing. We could push test builds out and everyone could try it just to give feedback on stuff. Like that would be cool. I don't know. This is all kind of new for me too, like having the Discord server and people who can try stuff out and give feedback on stuff too. So yeah, we'll figure it out. I feel a bit bad. So when I was making the game originally, I was living in San Francisco and I had a ton of friends and like we were all, we'd hang out a lot and have like nerd parties and like LAN party type things. That kind of stuff was more popular then. So there was always like an opportunity. I'd have like a bunch of friends around and we could just get a big bomb squad game going with like 6 or 8 players or something. And so it was really handy for testing things and all that. But I sadly don't really have that situation these days. It's like for one, I'm currently living in Los Angeles, so I don't know as many people around here. I'll probably be back in San Francisco in a year or two, but in general, like yeah, I don't have like a big group to like play local, 6 or 8 player games with. So I'll probably have to lean on you folks more for testing things online and whatnot, which is good because that's how most people play the game. So it's probably there's a term they use called dog fooding, which is you're supposed to if you're building a tool or building something you're supposed to kind of use that yourself. It's like eating your own dog food or I forgot I don't know I don't remember where that term comes from, but um, yeah, you're supposed to like try your own stuff if you're building feature sets or tools or things like that. So I should be using stuff like workspaces and all that. So yes, road. Yeah, Steam version, Steam and iOS versions are planned for 2.0. I guess probably everyone has been saying that. Yeah, I think the roadmap. Yeah, people have been making the roadmap hopefully easily accessible, but can't begrudge people too much for asking. I feel like that's a very common question, that kind of stuff. So angry. We should have like a bot that just like prints out or chats out a link to the roadmap every like 10 seconds in like every channel. It's just constant roadmap links. Ooh, cool. My only thought would be like you should have his torso moving a little bit. Like I feel like just like a little bit of up and down in the torso. It feels a little bit like right now like exercises or something like trying to like do move your shoulders while not moving your torso. If you get like a little have everything moving a little bit, I feel like it would feel more like unified. But very very cool though in general. Yeah, exactly. You have to read the roadmap and like answer questions about it. Like when is Steam coming out? What was the main feature in version 1.5? Oh, cool. That's cool. What character is this? Is this like a Neo? It looks like Neo. Yeah, when was the first version of Bomb Squad released? Oh, that's Agent Johnson? Oh, interesting. I guess like the hair color or something about it. It looks like, to me it looks more like Neo than it does. Like Agent Johnson is, sort of a, I mean, it's not supposed to be like Agent Smith from the Matrix, but it's just kind of based on that idea, like the shady government G-man type. But yeah, something about this reminds me of Neo a bit more for some reason. Ooh, PyCharm user, nice. But yeah, first version of Bomb Squad released was technically, I should like write these dates down. I'm really bad with not knowing exactly when the thing was released, but it was sometime in 2011 was when I released on the Mac App Store. I saved some screenshots here. Let me see if I can. Maybe there's a date on one of them, if I remember where it is. Now these were, oh shoot. I have some screenshots here. Like this was the Mac App Store when I switched it to free and then it like shot up the charts. So this was like the Mac App Store hit #1 at some point for a brief period. But this was about 2014. Haha, I beat Kim Kardashian in game. What were these? This was, oh yeah, more just free, the free list. Oh no, Extreme Landings 1. Oh well. Yeah, I had screenshots somewhere from like the original. When I originally released it on the Mac App Store, it was paid. It was just like a $4.99 game. And then it made like the top 10 or something. It did pretty good, but it didn't get all the way up to like #1 until I switched it to free. And then it like shot up the list. Oh, what does this turn? Whoop, what did I miss? Oh, nice calming music. I don't know. Is that a thing people do for, well, I guess there'd be like, does YouTube flag copyrighted music or anything like that? Is that anything I'd have to worry about? Oh, I love it. I was like, what song is that? But I figured it out. Very cool. What's Starship Showdown? Should I know this? Yeah, the eyes do look kind of special. Oh, go away, subscribe. Well, if we could see the eyes, they would look special. Yeah. Oh, there they are. I feel like it's pretty on model though, or like, yeah. Yeah, it looks good. Good dance moves. WF key? What? Oh, yeah. Oh, wow, that's cool. Nice. I love that music, by the way. Super cool stuff. Yeah, that one would be fun to play. Yeah, when you have when you get to a good like update stopping point, we should totally give it a whirl. So what is this? What was the WF key? Where's WF key? Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is one of those things. I mean, you read, people have different opinions on like, should you use short variable names or should you use like long variable names? And I don't know. I feel like I fall somewhere in between because you see some people that have like super long variable names and they're super descriptive, so you know what they are, or function names or whatever, but it's like they take up like half the line. Whereas, if you use the super short ones like X and stuff like that, your code is more like concise and cool looking, but then you forget what that meant. So yeah, this happens to me sometimes where it's like, what the heck? Though I guess you could have a comment. Comments are good for things like that. But yeah, I feel like WF key is maybe too short of a function name, slightly. Unless it's only used like, I feel like I would name something that short if I were defining a function like within another function, or something that's only used in a very limited region. If it was actually like used by a lot of stuff or by code that's like far away from that place, then yeah, maybe something longer. But it is funny, like I know I have this happen a lot, where I'm looking at older code and it's like, it feels like I'm looking at someone else's code just because I completely don't remember writing it. So it's really interesting. Yeah, it's like critiquing yourself for like, oh man, what a crappy coder. Or like, why did this person do this way? It's like having all those kind of thoughts, except it's about code I wrote. So it's funny how that starts to work if you come back to something that's old enough. You start to kind of see yourself sort of from a neutral perspective, just like, what? I think that's good though. I feel like it's a good way to like give yourself feedback, even if it's like yourself 10 years ago. If yes, can you say why I didn't come into streams? Just wait, what? What is this in reference to? Oh, people not. Oh, okay. People who aren't here or something. Change the default playlist to. Oh yeah, that brings up a point. I need to like, one thing I've been trying to think about is like, is there a way that we could update like the playlist functionality to support mods in like a clear way or something? If it gets to a point where you're hopping online with like squads mode and you're playing cool mini games that people wrote and they're on like cloud servers and stuff, it would still be super cool to be able to like set a custom playlist for that mod or something like that yourself. So it's like, if they're like, for me, I'm using the Mac version, so it lets you set like Apple Music playlists and whatnot. So it'd be awesome to like, if I'm playing soccer or something like that, it'd be cool to like be able to set my own Apple Music playlist for soccer. So I'm trying to think about how that would work, like basically defining, having some way where like mods and things you play, even if they're not like installed on your local copy of the game, if they would still somehow be able to like register a playlist entry or something like that you could then like manually override, if that makes sense. So just trying to like think about cool stuff we could do with like the soundtrack system in the future like that. Also, on another side note, I was kind of thinking like other stuff with soundtracks could be fun. Like if we could just generalize that a little bit more, maybe add. Like I was thinking like it'd be fun in like a free for all game, just for like local multiplayer. But if you could set like a player profile, you could like assign it like a victory song or something like that. So like every time you'd win a round, it would like play your song. Like I think something like that could be fun. Just for goofing around with friends. You just have like a really obnoxious song that comes on every time you win. I don't know. I played Worms like briefly, but I don't know if I've seen that feature. Yeah, maybe a limit, or I mean, it would just be during like the score screen, so it's like that usually is only showing for like 10 seconds anyway. Maybe it would be a little bit longer, on the end screen. Of course, this would probably have to be something it would only work locally, where you'd have to like, because I can't, like the Mac version, it'll play iTunes playlists, or on Android, it'll play like MP3 files that you pointed at and stuff, and there's no way that I can have that stuff play on like everyone's device, so it would still have to be like limited in some way. Or unless we could include like a a bunch of different like victory songs with the game, and then like you could pick one out of those, and then like everyone would have those. That's another idea. Um, if you just want to get a little bit of like personalization, or that could even be like something, thinking of ways to monetize the game. That could be something people could unlock, or something like you have a super cool victory music that no one else has, or something. Again, not trying to like think about money all the time or something, but anything like that we could add to the game, then I could take other limits out, like the stupid pro limitations and stuff. Preset file updated for API 8. Did I update, or the current version on GitHub, is that already switched to API 8? I mean, I'm assuming it is if you've updated stuff for it. Oh, custom playlist behind the paywall. Yeah, I'd like to take that out. Well, again, like if maybe if the game had built-in songs you could unlock for victory songs or something like that, then anything like that where I can add unlockable stuff that people could get, then I'd like to whenever I add something like that, I'd like to make something else that's currently locked like available for everyone. Oh yeah, progression. Yeah, in general. I mean, that's kind of it's been a long-term plan, like the whole squad system thing, just kind of revamping monetization in general, revamping like the idea of like you're gaining, like how you gain currency and stuff like that. I feel like it should be more, like you get tickets for winning fights against other players, or winning matches, and then you can use those to unlock cool things. Like that should be the basic kind of foundation of it. Right now, it's like there's very limited ways to get tickets and stuff, so it's not a great system. Why did I change the ticket color? There was some reason. Honestly, it's been so long, I don't remember the exact reason right now. I would have to jog my memory, but oh yeah, I think so. I think I was gonna. Actually, I think I still am going to. Well, though maybe I'd change the ticket color again. Like originally, I had the idea of adding. A lot of free to play games have like the two currency types. There's like the one you can win easily through playing the game basically, which in game development terms is called soft currency, and then there's the one which basically is mostly paid for with real money, and that one's called hard currency. So yeah, originally I changed the ticket color because I wanted to introduce like a second currency, which would be like token, or not, yeah, like tokens or something, which would be more like gold or yellow colored, and or orange colored or something. And the tickets were already like orange colored, so I didn't want to have like the same color for both of those things. So I switched the tickets to like a green color, so they almost more look like cash or something like that. So that still may actually apply, because yeah, I'm planning on. Again, I'll write all this down in my little monetization manifesto once it gets to that point. But for squads mode, I do plan on like the main ticket type that most people are using unlocking stuff, like that'll basically just be like a soft currency. It'll be something you earn just from like playing the game and winning matches and stuff. Like you won't even be able to buy it. It'll just be like a purely in-game thing. And then there'll probably be like the tokens or something like that, which will only be in like the free version of the game. So not even everyone would have those. but those will be more like basically only paid stuff, and only for like, standard free to play things like skipping weights and stuff like that. But it'll be possible, like the plan is there'll be like a gold version of the game or something. If you want, you'll just be able to like pay one time and unlock gold, and then you'll never see like the free stuff again. Or if you're playing certain versions of the game, like on Apple Arcade or, like a subscription service or something like that, it'll just like, you'll never see the free stuff, like the token system, if that makes sense. So there'll be kind of like this optional token system for the free version, and then everything else will just be like tickets, which are only won from playing games, and that is the only way that you unlock characters, basically. So it should be basically really even for anyone who has the free version or the quote unquote paid version or the subscription version or whatever. I hope that all makes sense. Again, I'll go over this more as it gets closer. But yeah, that's kind of I went with tickets originally because it sort of has a feel of, when you go to like one of those amusement parks or something, you're playing goofy like roll the ball games and stuff, and you're getting tickets and then using that to, buy a giant teddy bear at the end or something. So I wanted it to kind of feel like that, like an amusement park. And tokens kind of fit that too a little bit. So I'm planning on tickets will be more like the bread and butter, what everyone is seeing and interacting with, and then tokens will be just like, the special thing for the free to play people. That's kind of like how you pay for the game, technically. It would just be, like skipping weights and stuff, like I said. Anyway, long story long. It's kind of creepy. No, it's kind of awesome. I'm curious, like, if there's like a record for how many spazzes somebody has put on screen at once, or like in a game or something, and like what happens when you get too many? Does the game crash? Does it just slow down to completely like a slideshow? Oh no. Yeah, that would be fun to do. Like it would be interesting to just like push the engine, just like keep. I feel like I never do that because a part of me is just like, it's like steady baby, hold together, that quote from Star Wars. But I just want, I don't want to like push things too far because I'm scared of it breaking, and it's a little bit like everything's working. I shouldn't touch it too much, but it would be good to like stress test things and just see what happens when stuff breaks. So I should be doing tests like that where I just like spawn thousands of spazzes and see what it does. Because at some point, I mean, I guess you'd expect it to. Well, technically, you'd expect it to crash or like run out of memory. Actually, that's probably what you'd expect to happen. Is like the modern, at least if you're running on Android or iOS, which doesn't exist yet, but like modern mobile operating systems like that, they basically, when your app starts using enough memory, they will give your app a warning like, hey, you're using a lot of memory, cool it. and then if your app doesn't actually like stop using so much memory, it'll just like kill your app. So it's technically not crashing, it's just basically getting shut down, like forcibly. So that's my guess, is that would happen. Hopefully that would happen before the game crashed. Actually, would the game crash? I mean, on a desktop operating system, I'm guessing it would slow to a halt, like basically just become frozen. Actually, it might crash. There's a chance it might crash. There's certain things, now that I'm going back into it, like the rigid body system, the physics system, it allocates certain things. It does some little tricks where it allocates some memory on the stack. And so there's a concept, what's called the stack in programming, where basically like local variables they get allocated on the stack, which is this like temporary thing that like grows and shrinks. And if you get a recursive function, like if a function is like allocating something on the stack and then that function calls itself, and then that function allocates something on the stack and then calls itself, like you can basically fill up the stack and get what's called a stack overflow. You've probably heard that term. But that means like your stack memory, you've like run out of stack memory, because there's a very limited amount of stack memory. So anyway, the the physics system in the game uses stack memory for some stuff. So I think if you have too much physics stuff in the game, you'll probably get a stack overflow. That's probably that might even happen before Android like kills the app. That's a good question. That would be interesting to see. Funny story, when I was at Pixar, I was working with the same rigid body system, like Open Dynamics Engine, which is like the underlying rigid body system that Bomb Squad uses. And I actually had to address that because for stuff for movies like Up, we were using it for like balloons and things, and there were thousands and thousands and thousands of balloons. And so it would blow the stack pretty quickly. Once we got to several thousand balloons, it would just like we'd run out of stack memory. So I had to change the simulator so it didn't allocate stuff on the stack at some point. It would allocate it like on the heap. If any of your programmers, maybe you kind of, hopefully this is making sense to you, but yeah, allocating stuff on the stack is faster, but there's a limited amount of it, so that's you got to be careful with that. Anyway, sorry, random tangent. What is this? What? First person? Oh, a little clipping there. That's kind of cool. That doesn't actually look too terrible. Okay, let's... a little out of focus. Like maybe that could work for certain things. Like if we fix the focus issues and the clipping issues, like it does kind of look... I guess being out of focus maybe helps. It actually kind of like hides the fact that all the textures are super low res. That's funny though. It looks like a cutscene or something. That's cool though. Uh-oh, what is this? Oh, this is very long. Drinks with... Is there like a certain point I can go to?
I wasn't touching it, I was asleep. Actually, I was like technical purple.
Oh my gosh.
Where'd it go?
Oh, actually, there is this. This must actually be a really old sketchbook.
An OG spaz. It's like...
where do I take it? So did someone actually like replace when I drink with like a Roblox sound effect? Or do I actually like really drink with Roblox sound effects? I haven't played Roblox much, so I don't know what that sounds like. Oh, 40 seconds, okay. All right, let's go to 34 to be safe.
Like reference and stuff that I had on a server somewhere. So, like, what the characters looked like 10 or 15 years ago. That'd be interesting. That'd be fun, like a...
What? Oh, I love it. I was reading in some cultures, like slurping your... I think in Japan, like slurping your soup or something is considered like an act of approval or appreciation, saying like, this is good soup. So I was saying it's good coffee. That's awesome. Ooh, what is this? Oh, that's very dramatic. Here you can see some bad textures. See, this is when we're talking about like why the game wouldn't work in first person view, like without some work, is like this. Like you can see this part of the map was not designed to be seen. You can see here, like normally the camera is up here, I think. So you're not seeing any of this part. So you're just seeing like this part and these parts. But yeah, if we wanted to like redo the game to be first person, you'd have to probably come in and make a new set of maps. It's cool to see though. Like the camera works pretty nicely. Oh yeah, and if stuff is not visible, like a lot of times it just isn't like geometry there. There's a lot of cases if you look at like the collision geometry for a map and then you look at the visible geometry, like the visible geometry will not have anything, like the backsides of here or the backsides of here or the whole backs of all these. Like, there's really no reason to draw something there because no one sees it. So it'll exist in the collision geometry, but not in the actual regular map geometry. And yeah, it saves a little storage too, so it doesn't hurt. Super cool though. It makes me wonder, again, like, we shouldn't. I want the game to be generalized so that like it works in VR and AR and stuff like that, at least at the moment. So like we shouldn't add anything that like strictly depends on manual camera or camera motion or something. But it could be cool. We could like clean the camera system up so that if we wanted to do that, it would be easier, like getting like a proper, I don't know, like camera controller object or something like that. So if you have any ideas, or based on other engines, like what do they do for camera stuff? Like what could we put in there to make it easier for people who did want to like mess with the camera? Oh no. Yeah, it does save storage. I think model sizes are probably like the smallest. I could check actually, but I think it's probably one of the smaller assets because the geometry isn't that detailed, so there's not a ton of like vertices and polygons being saved and stuff. So I think like textures are probably the worst offender in terms of like using space. Or audio actually, like some of the music, like the longer audio, that takes a fair amount of space. But in general, models aren't too bad. But it's still like, it is nice to save space when you can. But very cool stuff, though. Wait. What is this? Oh my. Oh no. What? It's beautiful. That's pretty cool, actually. That's cool that it actually like worked and that survived. That makes me happy. Okay, so at least it scales up to 100 characters. That's good. But that, yeah, that does make me wonder. Like, when we're moving towards like cloud servers and things like that, people writing whatever mods on a cloud server, makes me wonder like what sort of limitations to try to put in there. Because stuff like that's cool, but like that's going to either crash the game or completely overwhelm someone's bandwidth or something. So it's just going to like, it's fun to do for lols, but like on your local device or something like that. But it makes me wonder, like, should there be like a limit or something on cloud servers? Like you can only spawn 10 spazzes or 20, or I guess you'd have to go higher than that because some legit games have more than that, like co-op games. But it makes me wonder, like, if there should be some sort of like complexity limit or something like that. I would really be curious what 1,000 does. I'd be very surprised if that doesn't crash. I feel like that would definitely blow the stack memory. But maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe 1,000 would be okay. I'm trying to remember the numbers I was doing for when I was doing like balloon testing at Pixar, like what the numbers were when we started to like have stack problems. I feel like it was something in the thousands. But those were very simple. Like each balloon was just a few rigid bodies, or like one rigid body. And each spaz is like 16 rigid bodies or something like that. Stack. So yeah, stack memory, if you're just the standard programming thing. There's like heap memory and stack memory. most OD bodies are on the heap, but if you'll like during the solve, if you go in there, look for there's a function called allocate. If you look for that function, that actually allocates a little bit of memory on the stack, and there is some little snippets in like the core solver that do some allocate stuff, which supposedly will probably, I assume helps performance. I didn't actually do any batch, or I probably did like back in the day. Basically, I replaced those allocate calls with standard like malloc and free, or the C++ equivalents. So allocating stuff on the heap. And I forgot if I did any tests to see like what the speed difference was. With the Pixar version, basically, like once the simulation became big enough, I would switch it from using allocate to using the heap. And then that seemed to solve the problems. So like once things got big enough, because it's going to be slow anyway, then it would just use like the slower method. But when things were like small and fast, it would continue just to use the stack. So maybe I should update Bomb Squad to do the same. But then again, like if we are running simulations that are big enough to blow stack memory, like that's probably going to have other problems too, like bandwidth issues and things down the line. How do bomb squads get so popular? This is actually, I am not sure. Like I think this might be Google's algorithm or something. I mean, I like to think hopefully it's because people like the game, and so like Google shows it to more people. But no, I'm not running any advertisements or anything like that. It gets a very nice stream of constant downloads. So yeah, I mean it got featured at first, like back in 2013. Like Google featured it a few times, which shot it up to some millions of downloads. It was getting like millions of downloads over a weekend and stuff, which that was intense. But since then, it's settled down, but it's stayed pretty high. It's like mostly been pretty consistent for 10 years now. Which knock on wood or whatever, I'm super happy about. It's like lets me keep working on it. But yeah, I'm not advertising or anything. It's just I guess if you get a game that like gets popular enough, or happens to check the right boxes or something like that, it'll just like kind of naturally get downloads. There does seem to be a lot of like old mobile games like that do seem to show up. I'm curious like how many of them are advertising, or how many of them have just kind of had the same thing where it's like the algorithm kind of lets them kind of not coast, but enough people are playing them that they keep showing up for other people. So yeah, that's kind of I wouldn't recommend that if you're writing a game as a strategy. Like it seems like most games you kind of need to advertise or need to do something to get the word out. But I guess if you get lucky and wind up in this groove where it's kind of like you can kind of keep getting users as long as people still keep playing, that's kind of where Bomb Squad is. So again, knock on wood, hopefully that continues while I'm still working on 2.0 and all that. But yeah, I don't actually know the total number now. I think Google shows you like 50 million plus or something. But I know like when I was keeping track, a lot of downloads like are not from the Google Play Store. So I don't know if people are just like sharing the APK in random places, like in China or something like that, or who knows. So yes, it's a 50 million person soft launch, standard fare. I will try to. Again, I'm sorry haven't been on Discord too much lately, so I've been bad about. I mean, I'm always kind of bad about responding to private messages, but I try to do a sweep every now and then. So if you message me and don't hear back, either message me again or I'll try to get back to you soon or whatever. I've totally been in like 100% heads down mode though this past few weeks. Like I'm just right in the middle of this huge refactor. So normally on my average work day, a lot of times I'll work at home here in my office, and then I'll just like walk to a coffee shop or someplace like that in the afternoon and kind of work somewhere just to get a change of scenery. But I've not even been doing that. I've just been like total heads down mode, just like typing away here in my office for weeks on end. Forgotten what human voices sound like. Just kidding. One more question: are you playing on servers, a Bomb Squad? If yeah, Not often at the moment. I mean, if you see me hop on, I'll just be Efro with the V2 icon. I guess technically, that is, technically someone could fake that on their own server if they know what they're doing. But yeah, if you see if you see me pop on, it's just look for Efro V2 icon. What graphics API? It is currently just OpenGL. OpenGL ES on Android, of course. OpenGL ES 3, I think. It takes advantage of 3. Nothing too much beyond that. I've abstracted most of the graphics layer. It's funny, I've rewritten the graphics layer like 3 times. Like the original version, like the version I showed last week, I showed some snippets from that. Like that was basically like OpenGL 1.4 or something, like very old OpenGL API. And then at some point I redid it to use like OpenGL 2 or, like slightly newer OpenGL API. And then when I ported it to mobile, getting it up on Android and everything, I basically rewrote the graphics engine one more time. And so then that supports OpenGL ES, the kind of mobile versions of stuff. But it is very abstracted to where like we could write a graphics or a renderer for, like Vulkan or, like Metal on Apple stuff or DirectX or Direct3D, whatever it's called. Like that would be something fun to tackle. I'd like to do that sometime. It's just not like super high on the priority list. But if you check out the renderer and the source code on the public repo, Source Ballistica graphics, there's, I'm kind of reorganizing stuff. I think maybe it might not be in this quite layout in the public repo yet, but as soon as I dump my huge set of changes, it will be. So here's kind of like the basic renderer stuff, like the kind of the core renderer bits, which are not really tied to any graphics API. This is just like game stuff. And then there's a OpenGL version of the renderer that kind of like fills in functionality for all these. So at some point, maybe we'll have other renderers too, like Metal or something. Oh no, it would be Efro with just the V2 icon. So the V2 icon means that you're running it means you have a V2 account, which means like that name is unique. So if you see, anytime you see like the V2 icon and then a name, unless someone's doing like tricky fakery stuff with their server, which is possible, it should mean that name is unique. So basically anyone could use the name Efro, like if you just make like a local character or something like that, but it won't have like the V2 icon. Question. Oh geez. Textures have holes. Oh, you posted that bug report about textures having holes? I think you're using a image viewer or something that's maybe not displaying them correctly, because they certainly don't have holes in the game. Like we'd have a lot of bug reports about that. Oh yeah, so yeah, there. Yeah, if you see that, that should be me. As I said, if you're on like a custom server, someone could technically fake that, because if someone's running their own server, they can technically do anything. They can show you like whatever they want to show you. So there's currently no way to force a server to only show V2 Efro if it's really, really me. But in the future, like when things are moving more towards like cloud games and stuff, where it is like all my servers, like then that will be 100% secure, and like you shouldn't. At least I think. We'll have to see, like because people should be able to mod the cloud servers too, but hopefully they won't be able to like fake that. So that's, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, it's definitely still possible to fake identity right now. Like even in the current landscape, like the V2 account stuff should be secure, but it's still actually showing you technically a V1 account, which is the one that's based on your V2 account. But you can still, there's a lot of tomfoolery you can do with V1 accounts. So there's still, it's not, there's a secure component there, but we're not like using that secure component everywhere, if that makes sense. So I am pretty confident that it shouldn't be possible. Like before, if you like hacked your local game in a certain way, it was technically possible to like log in as someone else's account and like that shouldn't be possible anymore, at least on the V2 side. So like there like I said, there is better security now on the V2 account side. It's just like there might still be possibilities where like servers can show you a fake identity or something like that, but it'll keep improving. Physics is not 60 FPS. Physics is 120 FPS at normal speed. So if you're doing epic mode, that slows it down where it's probably, I forgot what is epic mode. It's like 0.4. I forgot what the actual like speed multiplier is, but it's 120 times whatever that is. So it'd be like 50 or something. And when a character is launched upward, it's a ragdoll. It's always ragdolls. Characters are always ragdolls. There's a full-time ragdoll in the game. So even like the running animations and stuff, we're applying like spring forces to the ragdoll to make it look like running, which is kind of a challenge. If you look at the spaz code, it's very ugly. There's lots of random like sign functions connected to like spring endpoints, like moving hands around and things like that, but it gets the job done. Yeah, corpses don't do damage in vanilla, but it sounds like this is a fun feature. Like I haven't played with it a ton, but like maybe that'd be something we want to incorporate into kind of the next like official spaz or something. I could see that being a lot of fun. Just because it would be kind of a random thing that is just hilarious if it happens. Some corpse falls on you and you're dead. Yeah, that was one of the big updates when I cleaned the game up and released it. Like if you remember, I showed the real old clips last week, and there were no ragdolls then, so that was kind of one of the big additions before I released the game. I changed all the characters from being like pre-baked animations into being ragdoll based. So it took a lot of work to get ragdolls moving around in the right way, and not that the animation is amazing, but just to get some sort of animation on the ragdolls. But yeah, that was kind of one of the big efforts going from version 0.9 to 1.0. Oh sure, yeah, feel free. Thank you. with the audio compression, like I said, that was like a fart noise, right? Because it almost sounded like static or something. It comes across as like mostly fart-like, but a little like staticky. But regardless, thank you for your contribution. Is a character moving a ragdoll Euphoria? Oh, is Euphoria? Is that a ragdoll system like a physics? Or I think I remember saying that. No, and if Euphoria is what I'm thinking of, it's kind of a machine learning based ragdoll thing where like ragdolls can kind of sort of move themselves around, which is super cool if I remember looking at it, if it's what I'm remembering. But no, Bomb Squad's ragdolls are not. Okay, it's definitely not Euphoria. They used Euphoria for like Grand Theft Auto and a bunch of some other stuff, I think, which is a super cool system. But no, it's not Euphoria. It's basically it's basically ragdolls. It's kind of a real, not simple, but it's like I said, it's ragdolls with springs attached. So it's kind of like a puppet. If you think of what a puppet is, it's literally a ragdoll. I mean, that's where the term came from. And then we attach strings to move its hands around. So that's kind of what the characters are doing in the game. It's like they're like ragdolls, but then there's like these little fake spring forces that like pull the ragdolls around and make them, like run motions is basically that. It's just like pulling the character's hand in a circle, and then the character just sort of looks like he's running. But yeah, Euphoria it tries to like fake muscles and actually like have the thing move itself around, which is super cool. But yeah, Bomb Squad is not that advanced. Bomb Squad is, if that is like robotics, Bomb Squad's more like puppetry, And yeah, that's probably, I mean, it's been years since I've looked at Euphoria. I mean, who knows what it is? It are they still around? Are they still like are games still using that? I'm curious if that is accessible on like phone level hardware. That would be another question too. Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. That's Red Dead Redemption 2. So yeah, I would assume if they were using it on GTA, that would make sense for using it on RDR. I mean, Rockstar, they're big enough. Like they could probably like support Euphoria by themselves, or like buy it, or just develop it in house or something. Okay, so it sounds like it's still around, getting used for. I mean, I guess RDR2 is it's not super new, but yeah, it's relatively new. Yeah, but I would be curious though. Like, I feel like that is probably targeted more towards like console games. Like a PlayStation 4 or something like that has a lot of horsepower compared to like a low end Android phone. So there's definitely like different things you can do in that situation. Um, it'd be interesting to play with though. Like, I'm sure it would be fun. Oh no, Natural Motion was sold to some crappy mobile company. Huh. It is weird, like that stuff like that happening. I was going to say the one other example, like Unity. Unity is a wonderful engine. A lot of people do great stuff with it. I should play with it more and just kind of see what it's about. Not that I mean, I'm too far down the road with Bomb Squad's funky custom engine to switch now. Um, but anyway, yeah, like Unity bought Weta Digital a year or two ago or something, and Weta Digital is, if anyone's seen the new Avatar, it's like they did all. I assume they did all the effects for that. They did the original Avatar and like all the Lord of the Rings stuff, and like Weta Digital has done such like amazing, awesome high end work. And traditionally, like Unity is sort of in a way it's associated with kind of like low end phone games. A lot of like simple stuff. So it's weird to think like this, like the most amazing computer graphics stuff the world has ever seen is now associated with this company that's kind of associated with lower end phone games and things like that. I mean, I guess there's Unity is used for a lot of higher end stuff too. I shouldn't be stereotyping, but it's just kind of funny having that association. You mentioned like Euphoria being bought by like a mobile company, but I guess there's, if you see like pie charts of like market shares for like gaming and stuff, like mobile gaming is actually like a huge portion of like the worldwide gaming market. It's something like 2/3 of the revenue or something like that. I don't know where I saw that graph, but just do a Google search for it or something. Is changing the game sound effects wrong? Heck no, you should change the game sound effects. I love that. That's yeah, like that's one of the first things I remember doing, like with Warcraft 2 back in the day when I was playing on my 90s computer at the time. Like changing the sound effects in Warcraft to just be like me and my friends making stupid comments. Oh, Clumsy Ninja. I remember Clumsy Ninja. Yeah, I do remember reading about that using Euphoria. I would love to play with that kind of stuff, Euphoria. Like, just I love that idea of just like artificial intelligent ragdolls trying to move themselves around and stuff. It seems like fun. Like, I'd love to do something like that for Bomb Squad, but it kind of seems like one of those things where you would need you'd really need to focus on that. That seems like such an advanced topic that like you need. I mean, I guess you could use something like Euphoria that is kind of has it built in, but it seems like a rabbit hole. You could like go down that rabbit hole, and that would be like all you do. So I definitely have to kind of, being in the solo developer situation, I have to kind of try to prevent myself from going too far down any particular rabbit hole, as much as I want to. Okay, cool. Yeah, I would think that they would. Yeah, I'm sure it works. Yeah, like Clumsy Ninja. I mean, that's a phone game basically. So maybe it's something where like maybe a phone has enough CPU horsepower to run like one character or something. Because isn't that what like Clumsy Ninja is based around, the idea of? It's just like a single little ninja dude that you interact with. But I don't know if it could handle like 20 of them. So who knows? Maybe that's still kind of a limiting factor. I know I did have to work quite a bit. I know Bomb Squad came out on mobile like 10 years ago, but it was kind of a challenge to get the physics working fast enough on mobile. Um, I was actually, when I was porting it originally, it was my iPhone 4 back in the day. It was 2010. Don't tell the iOS people that I was using an iPhone to port it. They'll get even madder at me. But yeah, I was trying to get basically one spaz to run at full speed on an iPhone 4, which had a single processor, and so that was tricky. I never really got it working well. Like the first device that it worked well enough to run on, I think it was like my iPad 2, it had a dual core processor for the first time, which really helped because basically then one processor can work full time on the physics. The second processor can work on everything else that needs to happen, like rendering and audio and input processing and all that stuff. So like going from one to two processors made a huge difference. Like I said, it seemed like it would be impossible to get the game running on a single mobile processor at the time, despite like all the tricks that I tried, which some of them are still in there, which I should probably take out at some point because that was 10 years ago, and any phone these days can handle it pretty well. But there's certain things, like if you look at spaz, if you go into, where does he live? So it would be scene v1. We now have scene versions, hooray. Scene v1, node, spaz node. So somewhere in here, if you poke around like the source code for spaz, there's probably still places where it like turns things off and on real fast for optimization. Like there's certain like rigid body joints between like the things that are constraints that are like keeping his joints together. It will actually like turn them off and stop processing them like every other step. So it's doing some slightly hacky stuff to basically cut down the work. And I did all these like measurements to try to see how fast things would run, and then I would try some optimization and see how fast they would run. And that actually worked pretty well, like just kind of doing these little fake, like turning things off and on real fast. But it's not a good, clean thing to do, but it's been in there for 10 years, and so it worked. But I forgot exactly where that is, but if you poke around spaz enough, you'll find something where it's like, it's probably doing like a modulus. Aha, here we go. Yeah, like here it is in, I think this is it. Yeah, if always on, otherwise, so he has this setting where like some of his joints, angular enabled is I think T is like the frame or the frame count or something like that. So if that modulus 2 equals 0, then we turn his left arm on. If his right arm is turned on if it's equal to 1. So it's like every alternating frame, we turn his left arm on, then we turn the right arm on, and then this joint is off, this joint's on. It's basically flipping a lot of rigid body joints off and on randomly. Oh yeah. In some cases, yeah, it doesn't work for if you're frozen or punches. Why would that be? Yeah, there's certain cases for either if you're frozen or if you just punch someone. Oh, maybe because like punches make your arm go out, and so if the joint is turned off, I think his arm probably just flew off. It's coming back to me now a little bit. But yeah, in certain cases, it leaves everything always on, but in certain cases, it's alternating. So it would be interesting now. Basically, we could just have always on be always on. Like bool always on equals true. Kill that stuff. Like it'd be interesting to see like if the physics feels different now, because this would be more expensive on the processor, but this was an optimization that was needed 10 years ago. It probably isn't needed now. Oh, Mammy Bandus, you're heading out. Bye. So anyway, yeah, this is interesting stuff where there were lots of old optimizations in there to try to get the game running on like a low-end Android phone. I think I still have. Let's see. Do I still have it? Do I not still have it? I don't know. Aha! So this was the first Android phone I ever had. Some like, I don't know if you can see, HTC something something. No idea. I think I got it used on eBay or something, but it had like, yeah, it had a single processor, so it was very similar to like the iPhone 4, which I should have. I definitely kept my iPhone 4. Okay. So yeah. So this is the first smartphone I ever had, like an iPhone 4. You know, it's about from 2010 or something. So I was trying to get the game running on this, and that was very, very, very challenging because this has a single processor, this was the last iPhone that had a single processor. And then this HTC Android phone I got around the same time to like test the Android version. It also had a single processor, so that was very challenging as well. I think it was maybe similar speed to the iPhone, maybe a little bit faster. But yeah, I'm curious if this will still boot up. I should try to charge it sometime and see. It's Android 4 though, so it won't actually run the modern version of the game, though I'm pretty sure it would probably choke anyway. Not that the game has gotten too much heavier in 10 years, but you know, like newer Python and stuff like that, I'm sure like the memory usage is a bit more. Honestly, physics code looks like a mess. Yes, physics code is a mess. It is. Spaz got very, very kind of messy over time. So, like, that's something I would love to revisit and kind of clear Spaz up. Like, he is, like, this source file is 7,000 lines long. So, like, this could definitely, Spaz should be broken up into probably, like, 5 source files. There should be, like, one for, like, rendering stuff, one for physicsy stuff. You know, it's one of those things where it started small, I think, and then it just kept growing and growing and growing. Like there's all this logic here for different styles. Like if you set the style to something, all this funky, like dual reflection is if style is ninja or style is cronk, we have a dual reflection. Otherwise, if style is ninja, we turn on whatever ninja means. So yeah, lots of ugly stuff. It could use a clean re-implementation. But yeah, there's lots of weird janky physicsy stuff in here. So yeah, it's definitely due for a cleanup one of these days. Or like a, Spaz version 3 or whatever, I don't know, whatever we'd call it. Yeah, there's probably lots of places where it could have had a switch function. It's one of those things where it probably originally had like one option, and then at some point I added a second option, and at some point I added a 10th option. And so like if I had all those options at the beginning, I probably would have organized it as like a clean switch statement or something like that, but I did not. So it turned into basically this. This is mostly, this is all C++ code, and so even though this is inefficient, doing all these else if, like this stuff probably executes so fast compared to like any of the Python code that it's probably not worth optimizing. Oh yeah, and switch on strings. That's also like C++ doesn't have string switch statements, so you'd have to do something like a enum or something like that. It could be done more efficiently, but yeah, it may be more than just like throwing a switch statement in there because those don't work on strings. Who voice acted Mel? The current Mel voices are from the internet, I believe. It's just some like crazy laugh person sound effects I found somewhere. Yeah, I'm looking at all this old code. I really haven't. I've touched a lot of stuff in the game. Like most of the physics layer has been cleaned, or the Python layer has been cleaned up. A lot of things have been cleaned up, but yeah, Spaz node is kind of just this big ugly monstrosity I haven't really touched too much. Lots of fun physics code here. Create hair. Okay, this is what Spaz's hair looks like in physics code. Rotate it left a bit. Okay, add a ponytail. Destroy hair. But yeah, this that goes back to the thing I'm working on now, which is I'm quite excited for, is this scene version stuff, which means basically we have scene version 1, which is all of this, like everything that encompasses the current gameplay, like all the nodes and the physics and asset loading and all that stuff like wrapped together. So once this is done, we should essentially be able to hit copy and paste and have v2 and then go in there and kind of rip a lot of this stuff out or clean it up, or make a better version to work with. Do things like in the Python code, taking plugins or taking power-ups like out of the spaz file, making them something you can define separately. There's lots more kind of substantial improvements we can make when we don't have to worry about like messing up all of the existing people playing on all of the existing servers and stuff. Yeah, so I mean, if you wanted to right now in spaznode.cc, you could make new styles. I mean, they're all just strings. I believe you set those on the Python layer as strings, and then they make their way into the CC file here. So you could add new ones. The thing the thing you need to be careful about though is any changes you make on the physics layer here, they won't work properly over the network. But I guess in your case, if you're making like a total conversion sort of thing, like if you're distributing copies to people to play, like go ahead, feel free to add your own styles and whatever. As long as everyone is playing with the same physics, like it should do the right thing. It's just like that's the scary part is that like if some people are playing with a modded version and some people are playing with the vanilla version, you're gonna get weird stuff where the physics will snap on one person's game because the server is doing something different with the physics, and so the server is going to be like his hair is over here, and then the client's like, no, it's over here, and then the server's like, no, it's over here, and the client's like, no, it's over here. So it'll be like snapping back and forth. That's when you get like bad, weird physics disconnects and things. But totally, if you want to just like, for purposes of like taking a copy of the game and mucking with it, like feel free, like add your own styles here and do whatever. Go crazy with eyeball sizes or whatever. I'd be curious what you could come up with. See a Straylock? Path Trace Bomb Squad. I know I've mentioned this before, but I think like that would be super fun. I do want to revisit like the render system to make something like that easy to build theoretically. Because the game isn't doing a ton of stuff with the graphics, so I'd love to be able to kind of write a very clean API just for a renderer, basically saying like, hey, draw these objects here, and hey, there's like an explosion here, or like some kind of simple high-level commands that it would send to the renderer, and then the renderer, the current renderer would do what it's currently doing, but then it would also make it easier for if you wanted to make a new renderer, for like Metal or Vulkan or a fancy path tracer. I mean, there is, that seems to be kind of all the rage these days is like ray tracing and stuff like that. I was reading rumors like that Apple, this last iPhone update this year was supposed to include like ray tracing hardware. That's what the rumors were saying, but they had to like delay that because it was consuming too much energy. But like that sort of thing might actually be coming to mobile soon. So like that would actually be an interesting opportunity, is like write a renderer using some simple ray tracing or something. The eyes are all, that's just rendered in graphics code here. Like, I think that's in the spaz here. It's probably like draw eyes. Eyes, angry eyes, Somewhere it's drawing eyes. Default eyelid angle. Let's find where it's using this. Somewhere it's using this code. This angle, okay, oh no, it's probably not default. Eyelid color blue. Let's see where it's plugging in eyelid color blue. Set up eyelid shading. Okay. We can see here there's some code for like drawing the eyes. So like set up the shading for the eyelids. I mean, it's all very technical looking stuff. Draw eyelids. It's basically like there's a few models for like eyelids that get rotated based off when the character's blinking, and then there's like, an eyeball model. So like it draws the eyeball and then draws the lid over the top of it, and the eyeball will just randomly rotate around. All that stuff is in this file again. Again, that's way too much stuff in one file. But you can see here where it's actually, this is the code for it actually talking to the renderer. There's like a custom little API for issuing render calls. It looks very similar to OpenGL, but it's kind of generalized. So push transform to where this rigid body is, and then translate by these coordinates, and then rotate a little bit based off what your eyelid angle is. Scale up if death scale is not more. Oh, death scale is like everything shrinks, I think. Like when you die, or like the character like fades in or fades out. So that's what death scale is. And draw mesh asset. Oh yeah, here's where we draw the eyelid mesh. Pop transform. Oh, there's one of the changes coming up in this big update that I will dump sometime soonish. The term model is now mesh. So I've been wanting to change this for a long time because for assets we've been using the term model or collide model, but it's now mesh and collision mesh, which is a better. It's more accurate as to what it actually is. So that's just. It's listed in the changelog, but one thing like for mods and stuff, you'll have to just do a big search and replace in your mod. Just look for any instance of model and replace it with mesh. It shouldn't be too hard because we're not using the term model for anything anymore. But yeah, the idea is like a mesh is basically, it's basically what the game does. It's basically a single bunch of polygons that you draw. Like that's a mesh. And same for a collision mesh. It's a bunch of polygons that things collide with. So the term model, usually the term model is more like a complex concept or something. So in the future, I'd like maybe we'd have some like model concept, which is like a model. It brings together a bunch of meshes and textures and sounds, and like that's a model. So we might use that term again later, but I wanted to clear that term up so we can use it for something better. So anyway, yeah, just to be aware, any modders, if you're updating for the new the API 8, you'll have to change all your model to mesh. Yes, exactly, get mesh. It's literally, I had to update all the engine code, but it's basically just a search and replace. Just look for any instance of, model and replace it with mesh. So. In all forms, so like model becomes mesh, collide model becomes collision mesh, et cetera, up. Yeah, so just do any like case insensitive search, and then replace it with the equivalent thing, and then that should work. I'm trying to get as many like annoying little changes like that out of the way now because we're switching the API version, which is annoying for anyone like it's annoying for everybody anyway. So at least if I can list like these annoying little like evolutionary changes, then we can just kind of get them all done with, and and then they're done. But yeah, I will try to. Oh, is there lore to Bomb Squad? Not really. Like, I've kind of mentioned this before, where it's like Bomb Squad is. I'm kind of going with like the Nintendo approach, where Nintendo characters sort of have lore. Like Mario's a plumber and this and that, but it's like they also kind of they show up in different games doing different things. Like Mario's playing tennis, or like Bowser is suddenly racing with everyone. He's no longer trying to like take over the kingdom. It's almost more like this set of characters that can show up in different stories in different situations. So I mostly treat Bomb Squad characters like that. Like there's not a preset lore with them. That's not to say it couldn't be fun to come up with some stories with the characters and stuff, but there's not like an official lore. Don't I play Bomb Squad online? Not too much at the moment. I'm super busy right now trying to get this 2.0 stuff, or not 2.0, but in this case 1.8 going. My goal is that I would like to play online more. If I can get the game to a point where I'm comfortable playing online and I'm enjoying playing online, like that's kind of my goal. it's not there yet. So I will keep working until it is. As I mentioned, the game was originally made, it was like something fun to play with my friends, and like so it would be fun to like have 6 or 8 people with controllers around a TV. Like I played it mostly like that, which was a ton of fun. But it's like that's not easy to get gatherings like that together, like, at least for me these days. And in general, most people play games online with friends and stuff. So now my new goal is to make the game something that I want to play online with just random people or friends or whatever. So I don't play it too much online right now because I feel like Bomb Squad's online play right now, it's not designed well, or it's a little bit tacked on. But the squad system, things like that, that will be properly designed online play, and so I want to make that something that is fun for me to play. Dog food it again. There's that term, dog food. So yeah, and yeah, fixing toxicity issues and stuff too. It's like I feel bad. I'm not playing online enough to know all the toxicity stuff that happens, and I've hopefully provided some tools for server owners to be able to combat that or things like that. But it's still like that's something I definitely want to address directly with squads mode. Like not having randos be able to chat with you by default and stuff like that. Like for me, like when I play online, I'm not super excited about, I don't want to jump in a voice chat with a random person or things like that. I just want to like play a few games. That's all. Maybe jump in with some random people, play a few games. So yeah, I'll try to. I want the default experience to kind of work well for someone like me. Okay, so yeah, like a report. I mean, I think like that would be good. I know I need to start getting some sort of like basic moderation stuff in there for V2 accounts once squads mode comes online, because of course there's going to be people with like vulgar names or changing their V2 name to something vulgar, and so we need a way to like moderate that. I was thinking it's tricky, like coming up with ideas that would work well, because something like that, we can have like a report button for if you go to someone's profile and you see they have a vulgar name, like a report button or something. But should it be like if someone gets reported enough, it automatically makes them change their name or something? Because one thing, like I don't have enough time myself to go through all the reports. There is a report button for abusive behavior right now, but it's just like I can't really police things effectively on like V1 servers and things like that. So there's not much I can do right now. But if there's ways we can automate things with squads mode, or like going forward, or have assign a set of people here as moderators or things like that, like that's ideas we can all think about. Yeah, I was wondering ideas like temporary ban on if there's a number of reports, but then of course, as the internet works, as we all know, the internet works, it's like people are gonna find out bottish sort of ways, or just false report people and say like, hey, everyone, report this guy. It's like I don't want to get some people like weaponizing that system to get other people like temporarily banned just because they lost to them or something. Launching new character. It's still 1.8 is the plan for that, and so I'm still like basically, even though I'm technically working on 1.7 right now, this is all stuff I'm working on that's part of 1.8. So it's a big piece of 1.8. I would expect the new character to pop up like once 1.8 is mostly ready to go, like once the asset system is working. I may actually I may keep it as 1.7 as long as I can, even with the new asset system. It's just there won't be new assets. So it may be like 1.8 is like once there's actually new assets ready to go, like new characters or something like that, then we flip the switch and call it 1.8. But yeah, that'll be next major update. But yeah, it'll be interesting to come up with a system that would let us kind of police bad behavior without letting people abuse that system. You know what I mean? So yeah, any ideas people have? Like I said, we could make a certain number of people here mods or things like that. If if there's some way that if people would be interested in doing some moderation or something. But I don't want to like recruit a bunch of people for doing a boring job or something like that either. So yeah, if anyone has ideas for how this sort of thing could work. Yeah, and I would hope, yeah, I'm hoping for cloud server stuff, like for the squads based stuff, that whenever a cloud game happens, I'm hoping to save a replay or something so that at least there'll be some sort of paper trail. Like if there's a report button after the game, and it would point somebody to that replay or something like that. Why replays do not contain chat messages? That was largely just a privacy thing. Like I didn't want. Yeah, it just seems like there would be cases where I don't know, people would get in trouble for that or something. You know, like you're talking with friends about something you shouldn't be talking about, and then they decide to like save that replay and send it. I just kind of feel like chats shouldn't be something that people should be able to send off. I don't know. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe you all disagree. In going forward in squads mode, they will definitely like chats will be basically independent of gameplay, so that definitely won't be saved with replays. Because the chat system will all go through like the V2 master server stuff, like all the BASN nodes, that map I keep showing, like that's going to be like the interconnectivity for like all chats. Like anyone will be able to chat with anyone else technically, independent of whatever game they're in. So you'll probably have like party chat. You'll be chatting with whoever's in your party, and then that's completely independent of whatever game you all happen to be playing at the time. Distant future stream model. Oh, molten carrot out of clay. Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, I should totally do that. I actually. Oh, where is it? I don't know where it is, but I actually ordered like a iPhone or like a phone like head harness thing for doing. I figured it for doing hands-on stuff, where I could take a phone and like strap it to my forehead and then like do something, so you could all like see a first-person view. So I have an awesome like phone head harness around here somewhere. Actual ragdoll sounds instead of just being the head. You mean, what do you mean by ragdoll sounds? Like more sounds when stuff hits, or? I mean, there should be right now. Oh, there's more. I mean, there should be sounds for like hard hits right now. Maybe if you can like record a good example of if Gary's mod does more sounds, or like what you'd expect to see or what you'd want to see with ragdoll sounds. It's always a tricky balance with sounds and stuff. I found like it's fun to have character sounds and different sounds and whatever, but once you start to get 6 or 8 players, or you start to get 20 bots, like suddenly there's a whole lot of sounds happening. It can start to get annoying, So I feel like there's like this balance. Oh, there's no. Okay. We could revisit that again. Maybe I'm thinking there will probably be, because I showed you how ugly the spaz code is. Like at some point, maybe in coordination with Scene V2 or something like that, we can probably revisit spaz and clean him up a bit, and maybe add some of these new features, like some of the physics fixes people have submitted or requested, things like that, and then maybe fix some stuff like that, like have some sounds when his legs hit the ground. Well, that's a good point too. Like we could make it more gameplay based, where it's like if you hear a sound, that there was damage or something. That's kind of interesting. Or just like a very different sound, like a muffled kind of like where you can tell that something hit the ground, but like it doesn't sound painful. and I should revisit the sounds anyway, because originally I had this way to like visualize sounds in terms of, there's like rolling sounds and like dragging sounds and like impact sounds, and there's ways to like calibrate them. And I feel like I've kind of lost that. Like they sort of still work, but I feel like the sounds don't quite work as well as they should. So it'd be fun to revisit that, kind of get those visualizations in there again, and be able to kind of tweak rolling and dragging and hitting sounds more easily. Yeah, I think there's sounds. Yeah, there are some running sounds or something where like it's probably just like there's a roller ball technically, which is what's it's an invisible rigid body, which is what is moving Spaz around. That actually just rolls. So he looks like some sort of robot with like a ball on the bottom. If you actually look at the physics, which currently you can't do. That's another thing I need to fix. But yeah, there's some like skidding or rolling. That ball makes certain sounds if it's like rolling or skidding on the ground. But it'd be interesting to like recalibrate that, make it might have gotten lost along the way or something, or yeah. Oh, fart sounds, of course. Just a random fart sound. Just Mel's walking around, and every now and then he just lets one off. That would be good. Yes. If people are standing nearby, they lose like a tiny bit of health. You get a power up, make them like more potent. Like it's basically shields. Now I'm waiting for someone to do this like total conversion mod based on this idea. Use like the blast wave model, just like very subtle. Ah, that eyeless head. And then at some point, what I really like, one thing that I've wanted to do for years, maybe this would be the next Spaz update, is like some sort of like option for melee weapons, or like some character being able to hold something like a club or a sword or something like that. Like I don't know, it'd be fun to have like a power up like that, just a big old like stick. You just whack someone with a stick, they go flying off to the side. What was that terrifying noise? Yeah, I had no idea when I drew this that this would be giving everyone nightmares years later, but well. Or yeah, glove variations, that would be fun too. Just like if we could build in like a generalization to Spaz where you could like replace replace the boxing gloves with like other gloves. I don't know. You have like glowing power gloves or something that only last for a few seconds, but they like always kill with one hit or something. That'd be some fun ideas we could try. Oh, that'd be cool. Rocket gloves. Yeah, like a punch would just like launch a rocket. Window is out. Oh, this window? Whoop. Oh yeah, that could be fun too. Like super fast punches. But yeah, the general idea of like melee weapons or something, like I don't know, it would be fun to experiment with. So that's some idea that would be fun in the future, just to like really integrate them well into the physics, you know, just like have, I don't know, just fun physics of like swinging something left and right. Or maybe it would just be like random, just like whenever you hit the button, it would just like swing in that direction. Ooh. Or yeah, just a different like throwing animation for just like small projectiles or something. Like right now we have, you know, standard like kind of bomb throws for like big stuff, but you could just have like a, if Punch would launch a snowball or something, it could be like that, like a different thing. Oh, pancakes, nice. Yeah, I guess we have. There haven't been any new bots in a while. That would be another interesting thing. There's been a new, like a number of new characters added since, you know, since the original bots were implemented. I'm wondering like what would be some fun ideas for like different bot types that we could add for like the new, or you know, other characters that don't have bots. Yeah, like a Frosty bot. Like what would a Frosty bot do? I guess he could have like snowballs. Robot. Or yeah, I guess Frosty bot could have ice bombs. I avoided. I think there aren't any bots with ice bombs right now, right? I feel like I avoided that because it seemed like too powerful. Maybe it could like be weak ice bombs or something. Just Bomb Squad plushie would be awesome. I know. Yeah, this has been mentioned many times. I would love that. I should. I wonder like how does one get plushies made? If I ever have like a little bit of downtime or something, I want to look into plushies. Frosties. Oh, okay. So yeah, maybe Frosty would be fun if they're not overpowered. Yeah, plushies would be cool. I'd have to look into it. I know like the shirts and stuff that I'm offering right now is just through Amazon, which is a number of countries, but it's like it doesn't cover most people that play the game, unfortunately. Yeah, that is a point. Is like we don't want to disadvantage mobile players too much. It's tricky because I try to keep to you know the requirement for the game is basically, you know, you need a controller with either a D-pad or an analog stick and, you know, four buttons basically. So um, you know, I try not to do anything that like relies on having, you know, like shoulder type buttons or triggers or anything like that. Um, which yeah, it makes certain things a little tricky. I mean, they're still, you can use them for running and stuff, but they're not required. But it's tricky, like adding, you know, a different, if we wanted, I don't know, like an emote button or something like that, we'd have to come up with a way that, you know, people with only four buttons could do that. Cool. Nice. Looks good. It's like a plushie, but don't like hug it. Might get a little oily. Ah, yeah, it'd be so many fun bomb ideas to try out. Um, some thoughts I had, like a remote control bomb or something, like, you know, like you, a bomb that would maybe just like hover around or just roll around by itself, and basically like you take control of the bomb for a short bit. Like that could be fun. Oh, Jack with endless curse. Oh yeah, it's in the. I'm trying to remember. Like, was there? I'm trying to remember if I was going to use like endless curse Jack for something. Maybe like run around. Like maybe there was going to be like an endless curse Jack like walking, so you could like basically blow him up and take out other characters. But I never wound up doing that for some reason. Hmm. I need to remember to comment things because 10 years later, I'm wondering like, why was that there? Like, what was I going to use this for? There's a few things that are in there like that, like assets that just never got used. Or people pointed that out with like sounds recently. Just like, what's this sound for? And I was like, I don't know. I have no idea why that's there. Only a few characters. Well, when those original levels were made, the game only had what like the 5 or 6 characters. So a lot of the new characters were added after those levels were made. So they haven't been updated to nothing's been updated to use the newer characters. So that's kind of what we were saying is like it would be fun to incorporate some of the newer characters in some way. All the characters are the same physics wise. So I know a lot of people are sure that they aren't, but there's nothing in there that. I mean, there are slight differences in like the rigid bodies. So like the physics is a tiny bit different. Like Zoe has a few rigid bodies for hair and things like that, and like her arms are spaced closer together or something in the physics. But that shouldn't affect gameplay, unless I made some major miscalculation. Like that shouldn't affect gameplay in any reasonable way. So all the characters should have the same stats. Oh yeah, there's that tip in the game, but I guess there's a lot of tips in the game. Sometimes you don't, people don't see them. We can have that show after the roadmap chat message. We can have the bot on here tell that. Like here's the roadmap link, and all the character stats are the same. Yeah, with the required quiz, of course. Maybe like certain type of people gravitate towards certain characters. So like maybe there's some like natural, like people who punch a lot are gonna pick Kronk, So like maybe there's some natural sense of some are generally better at melee. It's because the melee people pick those characters. Like maybe there's more going on here than we think. So yeah, just as an update, I mentioned this week I am basically just continuing on the giant refactoring I was doing. So what is Spaz doing? Whoops, let's. Inappropriate. This happens a lot. These poor characters get stuck in here. There's like that's just kind of a like physics glitch. There's not a ton that we can do about it necessarily. Like all the physics is just like it's balancing different forces and values. It's like spring forces and like collision stiffnesses, and it's trying to like come up with a balance that keeps everything mostly from misbehaving, but it's generally not possible to make it perfect. So I do get people like reporting stuff like that, like, oh, my character's head got stuck in this wall. Like, this is a bug. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not really a bug. It's a feature. I mean, it is a bug, but it's like, It's really hard to fix bugs like that because, like I said, it's such a fuzzy thing. Hopefully, though, it like doesn't ever ruin the game too much. Hopefully you can still bomb yourself into oblivion or get out of it in some way. Like it would be a bummer if it. I don't know. You're playing a co-op game or something and you get stuck in a wall and then like the game just never ends or something. But hopefully if it's still possible to like die or time runs out or something, I don't feel too bad about it. I I mean, I can't really. I mean, I guess I could spend a lot of time and try to like limit those bugs, but there's always going to be bugs. I mean, you see that even with like AAA games sometimes. The physics just wigs out. I don't know. Maybe it happens more often on Bomb Squad than other things, um, but yeah, it's never possible. I don't think to fix it 100% with physics. There's always too much like chaos. We could maybe tighten it up a bit. Like I was mentioning, or I was showing like those weird the physics code in Spaz where it like turns off parts of the physics, turns off and on real quick to like make it more efficient. So some of that might be making things glitchier. Like if an arm is technically like detached for a moment in time and then reattached, it might make it easier to get stuck in a wall or something, because it could stretch out more than it should or something. Yeah, we could definitely. Yeah, if we simulate more steps, that can often do it. Because a lot of times, I mean, one thing that happens is like if you look at these meshes, like the way this stuff is simulated, meshes are simulated as like infinitely thin little wafers, basically. So it's like if you have a sphere on one side of a mesh, like it's not touching the mesh. And if that sphere is moving fast enough, if it moves to the other side within one sim step, it will still never touch that mesh. So in order for like a bomb to like bounce off of something, there has to be one sim step where it's overlapping that wall. So yeah, like real thin stuff. If you're simulating real thin things, it's tricky because sim steps comes into play a lot. It's like here's a bomb, here's a bomb, here's a bomb, here's a bomb. Like no collision ever occurred. Unlike in real life, no matter how fast you're going in real life, you hit that thing. But that's not how it works in physics simulations. And also, even if you do hit that thing, sometimes like I I often set physics forces. It's kind of like spring values to where they're not like I don't like having super hard collisions. Where like everything like bounces off like super instantly. Like sometimes I like to have sort of squishy collisions. You'll notice that with like the invisible barriers that keep you from running off cliffs. Those are kind of like squishy collisions, to where they don't bounce you off like super crisp and super hard. It's like when you kind of press into them and it slowly like pushes you out. It's more like a spring. I like stuff like that because that's how things behave more in real life. But the problem with that is if it's a spring, that means like if you apply enough force, you can kind of overwhelm it and push through. So that's like, even if we do have enough steps, sometimes if you're applying enough force, you can still push something through a wall. It's just kind of again, it's one of those trade-offs. We try to balance things, but it's not perfect. Uh, I generally try to avoid that. Like one thing I found is, this happened a lot for me like working at Pixar and running offline simulations for movies and stuff. It's like the physics behavior, even if the math is right, like the physics behavior changes a lot based on adjusting the sim steps. So, if you get a certain behavior at 120 steps per second, if you change that to 60, like in a lot of cases, you'll notice it just feels different. It's like it's not behaving the same way. I think because a lot of things like collisions and stuff are so kind of dependent on, like how many steps things are interpenetrating. If we change that, like there's enough math there, and it's like the butterfly effect, where it like throws things off, even if your math is right. Like I think it changes things a lot. So I've found that it's not, in my opinion, it's usually not worth it to try and change sim step size. Um, I would do that sometimes, like in Pixar sims or offline sims. Is like if there's a certain part of the sim where you need that extra accuracy. Sometimes I would like crank up the sim step size just for that part and then crank it down in other parts. But in that case, you could like tune it, to see like how it looks and change it over time. But with the game, I don't know if it would be possible to like change that dynamically and have it always work right. So I'll probably avoid doing that if possible and try to stick it 120, or maybe we could change it to something else, like if there's a certain game type where we with a totally different set of physics objects, maybe we'd run that at 240 or something if there's like really fast moving stuff, or other things you could run at 60. Like it could be useful to have a knob there to like change that, but I don't think it would be a good idea to change it dynamically like throughout one game, if that makes sense. Possible to give someone when they're already dead. Oh, you mean like have a character break apart after they're dead? I think I'd have to double check that's in the spaz code somewhere. That's a good question. Somebody probably knows the answer to that more than me. I knew that probably 10 years ago. I don't remember if it's, I mean, it should be with like frozen characters at least. So I would assume in other cases, like if you inflict more damage, they can blow apart. Oh my. Oh geez. Oh no. What? Yeah, it's always fun to witness physics glitches and things. There used to be a bunch in the game, like when certain things like assault mode or something, like when your flag would spawn back at your base, sometimes your character would still be holding the flag. He would like whip him across the level and he'd kind of stretch all crazy and stuff. That might still be in there in some cases. It's mostly fixed, I think. Sure, yeah, we could definitely make corpses not vaporize. I mean, that would add a lot of physics overhead and stuff. So, like, I wouldn't recommend doing that, just because. I mean, we could modify the game where it would freeze that corpse in place, and then that could stay there forever. I mean, that would still even that would start to add more and more kind of load to the game. So like you wouldn't want to do that for too long. Oh yeah, like something like elimination. That could actually be kind of funny. Like if we turn the character color them differently so that they're dead, like a gray. Corpses always turn gray in games. At least they used to back in the day. That could be interesting. Just like you're playing like an elimination game and there's just like littered corpses running like around. You could just like pick them up and throw them as weapons or something. Once we have melee op in there, you could like use their limbs as swords or something. Oh wait, what? Sorry, I wasn't watching this close enough. What's happening? Oof. But yeah, that would be interesting, like an extra option for elimination. Like maybe that would be limited to like if you only have a single life in elimination or something, just to not keep it, or to keep it, not getting too heavy, but just like a checkmark option, just like corpses stay. That'd be fun. But again, that goes back to like that making me wonder for cloud games and stuff. Should there be some sort of limit to complexity, or like how many things can be in the game at once, or should the server like limit what mod code can do? Like, oh, you've got 30 spazzes in there, like that's all you get, or something like that. Or just like I was thinking like a bandwidth thing or something too. Like if code is designed to be run on a server, the server would know like how much bandwidth it's sending out for all the players connected, and so maybe there would be some sort of like warning system or something like, hey, you're doing too much stuff that's causing too much bandwidth, like it will stop working, or I don't know. Because that's something else people do. Like there's the emit effects. Like there's little functions you call to like emit particles or emit sparks or emit debris or something. Each one of those calls, it'll send out like an event to all the clients that are connected. And so, some people do really cool stuff where they call that like 1,000 times to make some pattern or something like that. But then that's probably generating a ton of like network messages and things like that you might not realize. So it could be causing like latency issues. So it just makes me wonder, like, is there ways the game could like warn you of that or something, or maybe like a graph, like just a really simple to understand like network graph. So when you're doing like modding a cloud server, you can like see if you're causing problems or something. Is each box debris a model? Yeah, all the debris things, they're just little models. It draws them efficiently, so it should be able to draw a lot of them. But yeah, they're just little meshes. Sorry, I shouldn't say model anymore. They're now called meshes, as we learned today. Oh my. Infinite spazzes. What's the PC version? Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna go 2. We're about at 2 hours, so I try to cut us off at 2 hours. But yeah, the PC version. There's a PC test builds. The game's not out on Steam yet officially, but it will be when 2.0 comes around. But until then, there's PC test builds if you want to try it on your PC. So anyway, this seems like a good time to wrap up since we're almost exactly at 2 hours. So I'm gonna get back to my major 1.7.20 refactoring thing, which hopefully I'll be done next week, or at least closer. I know this is taking a long time, but it is a big chunk of the 1.8 stuff, so it'll be super cool when it's done. I just apologize to all the work you'll have to do to update your mods, but hopefully it won't be too bad. So anyway, bye Sock, and bye everyone else. I hope everyone has a good week, and I will talk to you all next week. So, oh wait, we got one wait. Okay, you have a moment. Is there any last words? A final sip of coffee here. You can add sound effects to it in the movie. Oh yeah, is this a new? I maybe haven't used this one before. This one is from like a handcrafted one from Minnesota, which is up near Canada. Has a cool owl on the front. So I kind of like this one. It's very cozy. Slurp, yes. Submarines. Oh yeah, okay. While we're waiting for this, I'll just check it the normal way. Check the submarine status. Oh, there is not much on the submarine front right now. We got a few of these guys off the east coast of Africa. There's some guy over in the Caribbean up here. Whoop, oh geez. Yeah, nobody in the Pacific at the moment. No one over here. Oh, shucks. Yeah, it's a light day for submarines. Oh well. Bomb Squad themed coffee mug. That's another thing. Plushies and coffee mugs. I need to figure out how to do that. Test this, tell me how long it runs for. Just don't fall off the map. I didn't do respawn stuff. Is this a... What is the... oh, yeah, there's more to it. Oh, this just like spawns spam. I would run... Well, I guess I have an older copy of the game. Like right now, I'm sure it won't run in API 8 because I've broken everything. But you all should run it and let me know what happens. Plus you win. Okay, I'll have to look around. If anyone wants to look around for like plushie services that can like create a plushie for you based on a model and then distribute them all over the world, like that would be super cool. Or if anyone wants to start a plushie company, like I will be your first client. Like we should do this. Start a plushie empire. Sandbox mode. Yes, sandbox mode will be coming. That'll be kind of, I'll probably do that sometime soonish. I mean, I do want to start to get cloud servers going. Like, And I'd like to run my own stuff in a sandbox just so that I'm using the exact same stuff that everyone else will be doing. So I do need to, and I have all the kind of the tech figured out, I think, for sandbox mode. I just need to implement it. So hopefully that won't be too much longer. I need to get this big refactor done first, though, 1.7.20. And then maybe sandbox mode shortly after that. Because 1.7.20 will mean that we can do scene versions and different things like that, which will be super cool to use with sandbox mode. But anyway, getting off on a tangent again. If you want to stream it or record it in some way, if it'll recover from the crash, it'd be fun to see. So anyway, that seems like it. So I'm gonna call it a day for now and get back to work, and I will talk to all you folks next time. And yes, definitely post. We wanna see what happens with this infinite spazzes. So all right, peace out, everyone.